the Sunnah. That's why we say they are all correct. We don't say one is correct, we say they are all correct. A Shafi is correct, a Maliki is correct, a Hanbali is correct. So therefore, the need is to understand that diversity and the basis of that diversity. That's the second subject. The third subject in the diploma in Islamic theology is a subject which perhaps you may not have heard of. It's called Usul Tafsir. Now you've heard the word Tafsir, commentary. It's easy to pick up the Quran and to read a verse and read commentary. Nowadays you can even get commentaries in English. But you've heard the expression, give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish to fish and feed him for life. When you understand the usul of tafsir, you are then able to pick up the Quran and appreciate the commentary that has been done, so that you are familiar with how commentary works. Not necessarily that you will automatically be able to commentate, but certainly you will be able to appreciate how commentary is done and the basis of commentary. So if someone quotes to you a commentary which is entrenched in a certain category, you will be able to distinguish that. It will allow you to understand the Quran in a different context. So it doesn't just give you information, it gives you tools. Those tools you can use then to understand the detail of the Quran in more detail. The final subject in the diploma is actually a very new subject. This subject has been, what word should I use? This subject has been... Sorry? I didn't catch that. Could I have some water? The final subject in the diploma is called... The final subject is called Tasawwuf, otherwise known as Sufism. Now, in the world we live today, Tasawwuf and Sufism is perhaps one of the most misunderstood areas of Islam. And as a result of this misunderstanding, you have a whole group of people, or groups of people, who call themselves Sufis or Mutasawwifin. But actually, such people are doing great injustices to the fabric of the Quran and the Sunnah. They have nothing to do with the Quran and Sunnah. They are, at best, what I call cults. They are groups that are formed where you belong to a particular sheikh, you wear a particular cap, you wear a particular cloth, you attend a particular function, and that's your identity, and that's your way forward in the Tasawwuf. And the kind of, unfortunately, the kind of so-called sheikhs, I wouldn't really call them sheikhs, or Pirs as they are known in the language, in the Farsi language, in the Urdu language, such is the level of ignorance amongst such people that they, on the face of it, are there to guide people, but they cannot recite one word of the Quran and Sunnah properly. Such people, when they are given charge in people's life, who are ignorant of the Quran and Sunnah, will end up doing more damage than good. That is why the Tasawwuf is the most misunderstood topic. In fact, the reason why the ulama can't contradict such people is because the ulama of today, the scholars of today, haven't been trained to understand the Tasawwuf from the Quran and Sunnah. Do you know the best book written on Tasawwuf? The best book written on Tasawwuf. Now let me tell you. The best book ever written on Tasawwuf is called the Quran. The best Sufi that ever walked on this earth is the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. and his companions and his family. Now, the problem is, you have people who call themselves Sufis or Sheikhs or whatever, and they totally deviate from the Quran and Sunnah, and people follow them. Because, as we say, they walk the walk and they talk the talk. And people say, wow, it sounds good, looks good, may as well follow them. That aesthetic value makes people follow. But real tasawwuf, or Sufism if you want to call it, is the Quran and the Sunnah. There is anything that is out of the Quran and Sunnah is not tasawwuf. But how will you know that? That's why we formulated a syllabus called tasawwuf, and we teach it over 1 year, 2 years in the diploma for that purpose. Then you have the diploma, then you have the advanced diploma, and I'm not going to go into detail on these subjects. You have the advanced diploma. We carry on with Islamic law. There we look at more intricate and intimate areas of Islamic law. You would be surprised as to the nature of intimacy with which the Prophet ﷺ's companions and his family described his life. Why? Because that intimacy of the Prophet ﷺ was also an icon, an example for us to follow. It's not that we just follow him when it comes to worship or when it comes to rituals. Every aspect of his life is an example for us. So Islamic law, which revolves around the personality of the Prophet ﷺ, also requires us, that's why we go into more detail. Usul hadith. Someone came, gave a lecture, quoted a hadith, went away. How do you know? The other person came, he quoted a hadith, he went away. How do you know which one to follow? Well, Usul hadith will tell you the basis of the strengths to be attached, the legal value to be attached to a hadith. So therefore, you can't simply say, well, he quotes hadith and he quotes hadith, they're both the same. No. There are categories of hadith. Hadiths have been classified, and it's very important to know those classifications. That's why we have a subject called Usul Hadith. Arabic grammar. Whilst Arabic is a very difficult language to learn, the problem is it becomes more difficult if it's not orientated in a pursuit. If someone just said learn French, I found at school when I learned French it was very hard. I was told, I had a very old school teacher, he said, just learn it.